Hey guys, Chuck here with X Mods or Polaris Xpedition Mods, whatever you want to call it. It's up to you. So I've finally come to an conclusion with this whole long travel versus or mid travel versus portals business. I've been spending a lot of time in the past week or so putting the mid travel kit through the same environment that I put my portals through for thousands and thousands of miles. So here's my conclusion. If you're rock crawling and you need deep articulation, that also requires ground clearance. Because sometimes you can articulate with not need a lot of ground clearance. Um, Portals, I miss the portal gear reduction. I'll be honest, man, I miss that a lot. It's so nice having that additional gear reduction. These are just 33s. So I didn't even go to a big 35, but man, I can tell that going over the exact same boulders, the exact same environment, this car weighs 1,000 pounds less than my other one. And I can still tell that I've lost a lot of low end torque because I've lost my gear reduction. I could add it in the transmission, but I don't want to. It's brand new. It's got 500 miles on it, but in the 500 miles, those miles have been used in the exact same scenario that I normally drive on a day-to-day basis, or when I go for fun. So I do miss the low end torque. It is significant, even going to a smaller tire and a lighter vehicle. So I do miss that. Here's what I don't miss. It turns on a dime. This thing is boom, boom, super snappy. Man, I could just whip that sucker around. It's like a little sports car. I can make a U-turn now. I don't have to back up, pull forward. So that's a huge pro. The steering wheel is very light. Where with 35s and portals, it was heavier. It wasn't hard turn or steer or anything unless you got really slow and it kind of bind up a little bit, but then you just kind of back down. And of course, over time, I just got used to it. It was part of the deal. Well, now that I have a mid-travel kit, I don't have a lot of those same problems anymore. I have different problems. I've lost my low end torque. I've lost my ground clearance. I don't have 19 and a half inches of ground clearance anymore. I probably have 15 and a half, 16 and a half or so. I'm not too sure. I haven't checked it since, but I touch way more often where I never touched before. So the ground clearance is an issue, and I've got to be a little bit smarter when I go off-roading. So when you sit down and you're trying to think about which one do I want, if you need ground clearance and you're going to put on 35s, portals for gear reduction or transmission for gear reduction, you really should do one of the two. Can you run it without gear reduction? Yes, you can. Will you work it harder, the belt harder? You will. It's going to require more effort for the machine to turn that big heavy tire than a 30-inch that it was designed for. If you stick with stock, it's a moot point. But we're not sticking with stock. We're going to 33s, 35s, 37s. You need gear reduction. If you're going to go rock crawling, you're going to go up shelves at slow speed. Now you got some of these guys in Tennessee and all that, they're hitting this stuff at speed. They're ripping their control arms off, and because they're smashing them, you know what I mean? I'm not doing any of that. I'm pulling up to a shelf and I'm touching the gas and I'm allowing the tires to crawl up these shelves. And you can do it without the gear reduction. It just takes more RPMs, takes more effort. I can smell my belt getting hot where before I never did. It's working harder to do the same job up in the mountains, for sure, without a doubt. I've done these trails for 20 years, probably more. So I know what it feels like. And I can tell you, this takes more effort to do the same trails in my environment than with portals and 35s. And if that's the case, why would I go back to portals? Well, let me tell you why. I can't fit into my trailer. I have to air down as it is. My trailer is 6'8", 6'9" opening. This thing's 6'8", so I have to air down. I can't put portals on in 35s. I won't have the ground clearance. So that's not even an option anymore. I bought a new trailer since the last time, so I've kind of put myself in a box. I really enjoy the lighter steering wheel. I'm really enjoying that. And I'm gonna sacrifice my low end torque and the ability to climb up some stuff to have a lighter vehicle. It's just so much easier to drive. And of course, when you have portals and 35s, you just get used to it and you really don't notice anything. It is more capable though. An Expedition or any vehicle with portals and 35s is more capable because of gear reduction. It just will do the same job a lot easier, unless you go into that. So at the end of the day, I'm gonna stick with the mid-travel. I'm sacrificing my low-end torque which is the 1%. When I go out and I go trail riding, that's when I miss my torque. Whatever, I'll suck it up. If I need to replace a belt a little bit more often because I'm heating it up a little bit, I will. I don't think so. I was going to do a belt inspection today. I just got tied up. So if I had to do it all over again and I had a brand new machine and somebody was going to say, I'll give you this or I'll give you that, I would still choose mid-travel. It's just an overall, for me and my environment, because I can't afford two of these, it's a good utility knife. I can, or Swiss Army knife, I should say. I could take it. I mean, I take it on both on all scenarios. Interstate 40. This does just right at 72 miles an hour. Portals, I had it at 81, but I had it tuned and some other stuff. So the one with portals was a lot faster, top end wise. Man, this thing takes off so fast. It stops so easy too. I don't have that braking problem anymore. With 35s of portals, man, I'd have to put 2 feet down. So that was a big problem with portals too, was the stopping ability. I don't have that issue anymore. This thing stops fairly good compared to portals. Now, when I had 30s, oh man, that thing stopped like a rock star. I was like, man, it was so cool, but it didn't stick with 30s for so long. So, like I said, at the end of the day, I'm gonna stick with mid-travel. I am a fan. I really am. If I did 90% rock crawling, I wouldn't even think twice about sticking with portals. And then also, if I had a bigger trailer and I might be able to fit it with 35s and portals, that might change my mind also. But since I've got a smaller trailer, it is affecting my decision. Because you got to think about how are you going to get us to the trail? I mean, in Arizona, I drive, but I'm going to Utah, I'm going to California, I'm going to Idaho, I'm traveling all over. I got to put this inside my trailer. And I decided to go with an enclosed trailer because I don't like towing it on the open. I've done it for years. It is nice towing it on the enclosed trailer. And I should have, would have, could. I should have bought an 8-foot tall interior trailer versus a 7-foot, because a 7-foot is not 7 feet on the opening. So I lost 3 inches because of the springs that rotate the door down. So mid-travel for the win for me for now. I am happy with it for sure. Now I'm going to get into some financials, because a lot of people ask me, how much is a portal kit? How much is a long travel kit? I took some notes. Now, these are general, depending on the rims, depending on the tires, depending on the shocks. All that stuff, there's a high amount of variables there that I cannot look into a crystal ball. So these are averages. So the portals, a $11,000. And I know a lot of you guys are going, what? A set of portals is $2,800 on superatv.com. And I'm going to get into it. Mid travels, $12,600. And again, I'm going to go into these numbers, but meat and potatoes, this is a $10,000 job to do portals or mid travel, long travel. There's no way, for the most part, unless you're going to be gifted stuff, that you're going to be under $10,000 to do this. So really, really look at your choices. You know, that's a lot of money to dump in one of these things. Let me tell you how I got to that number. Portals, I ran it at $3,000. Now, right now, they're at $2,800 plus tax and shipping. So you're going to be pretty close. Rims. So you can't put factory rims on portals or on long travel, mid travel setups. You've got to have an offset. You can add spacers, and I didn't calculate that. But a set of rims is around $800, $200 per rim, for a decent set of rims. Forward control arms. If you're going to do 35-inch tires, and you can't clear without forward control arms. S3 with all their trimmings and fixings, the killer ball joints, the bushings installed, powder coated, they're $2,000 after tax, approximately. Tires, there's another $800. A set of 35s, easy $800. Probably closer to $1,200 or $1,300. But I want to try to keep it on the low, just so that you can see how big the number can get. Labor, about $2,500 to rip the car apart and to do portals. You got to do brake lines. It's not a little job. It is a pretty detailed and large job that needs to be done by a competent mechanic. There's a lot of work involved. For you DIYers, obviously you can delete that. So you guys can do your own stuff, but most of us can't. And a lot of us that are buying Expeditions, we've never had a side-by-side before, because I have. But a lot of people haven't bought side-by-sides before because they don't want the open air. Now that it has heat and AC, it introduced a whole different genre of people to the sport. So a lot of people don't know how to do this kind of work. I don't. Man, there's a lot of work, and I ain't doing it. Shocks. I figured around $2,000. A set of springs would be your least expensive options, and then paying somebody to do it. So I figured a couple $1,000s there. I have heard people spending $4,000 to $5,000 on shocks. So you can get really, really nuts depending on which way you go. But I think that one of the least expensive ways to go, if you hire somebody, is going to cost you right around $2,000, which puts you at $11,000 for portals. Mid-travel. A mid-travel kit, on average, is $6,500. Rims, same, $800. Forward control arms, you don't need them because they already push out your wheelbase. They already make it longer so you can fit 35s. So there's no charge there. Tires, $800, give or take. Labor, I'm thinking about the same, around $2,500. When I had all the guys do my stuff, they did everything at the same time, so I had one big bill. I don't know how everything broke down, but I'm pretty sure it's close to $2,500. Shocks, same thing, $2,000. You can't do long travel, mid travel, or portals without a shock upgrade. You have to upgrade the springs. The factory stuff will not work. It's designed for the factory geometry, and since you're changing the geometry of the vehicle, you're making the whole vehicle wider, and you're going to make it longer. You're changing the geometry. You cannot stick with the factory shocks. You have to swap out the springs at least. It's better if you do the whole valving thing and all that, but it's a big job. So that puts your mid-travel at $12,600 on average. If you do the stuff yourself, you'll save money. But if you get nicer rims, you can add a couple grand of that. If you add nicer shocks, you can add another $2,000 to $3,000 on top of that. So you can be $15,000 to $18,000 for a mid-travel, long-travel kit without even blinking an eye. It's crazy how fast this thing goes up. But nobody talks about those numbers because it's so scary. And they look at it in a small amount. Well, a long travel kit's only $5,000. It is, until you start adding stuff, the powder coating, the heavy duty ball joints, the upgraded bushings. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, it went from $4,500 or $5,000 to $6,500. And then now you can't put factory, like I said, putting factory rims on a long travel kit, mid travel, or portals, number one, it look kind of goofy. But you can with spacers. So it's just $12,000, guys. That's how much one of these kits are on average. Can you get it cheaper? Yes. Can you get it more? Yes. This is average. Pros on the portals, I'm going to go over it one more time. You got the added gear reduction. You get greater height, so greater ground clearance. A set of portals you could have at your door in 2 or 3 days. Boom, done. They're at your door. You're rocking and rolling. It's the best for low end torque. You cannot replace portals other than re-gearing your transmission, which I've never done. I've never felt. I don't know what it feels like. I would assume it's similar. I don't know. But if you're going to compare low end torque on portals versus mid travel, long travel, portals for the win. You can't beat them. Man, you could just touch that throttle and just roll up anything, and it's just awesome. It's awesome. Mid travel, pros, turning ability. Sucker turns on a dime compared to portals. Man, it's the only thing I hated about it. Turn like a bus. Overall, lighter. My whole setup is probably, I think between portals and long travel, you're probably going to save a few $100. I don't know what it is. This unit's about 1,000 pounds less than my other one, just because I've done a lot less. So this is a much, much lighter side-by-side than my portaled out unit. Tires are heavy. You go from a 33 to 35, it adds a lot of weight. This is going to be a lot better for the dunes. If you're a duner, man, I can't wait to go to Glamis. I can't wait to air down and just go rip it up. I'm really excited about going to Glamis, maybe going up to Utah, Sand Hollow. I'm really, really looking forward to that to see how it did. The portals at 35 did great, so I'm really excited to see how these will do. I know it's going to do better. It's way lighter and it spins a lot faster and easier. This is a lot better for high speed too. So when I'm doing 60 through the desert with this versus the portal unit, the portal unit rode nice. Don't get me wrong. I have a really nice set of shocks from Suspension Direct, the E-Clicks. So the shocks were the same on both. That's why the ride quality for me is the same for the most. In most situations, the ride quality is almost identical. Ride quality comes from shocks, not from mid-travel, long travel, or portals. Your ride quality is from the shocks. That's where it starts. Everything else is all about stability and ability. So stability, when you're wider, you're a lot more stable. Ability, your portals give you greater ground clearance, which allow you to go over stuff a lot easier than a mid-travel. So at the end of the day, when I evaluate my life and what I do most, yeah, I think mid-travel's going to be my Huckleberry for sure. If it wasn't, I'd be heartbroken because I'd hate to take all this out, try to sell it, and buy the portals and re-engineer everything. I'll be honest, I don't have the energy for that. Plus, I only have 500 miles, and I just don't feel like it. So, mid-travel for the win for me, because the majority of my riding, I'm going to make it work. And I do enjoy how light it is. It is much, much lighter. Aesthetics, man, I miss a 35-inch tire. I'll be honest. These just don't look. 33s don't look proportionate to the vehicle. They really don't. but holy cow, do they perform way better than 35s. I'm not putting 35s on this. Number one, I won't fit it in my trailer. Zero chance of it going in my trailer. But number two, I'm going to lose so much performance. I mean, the performance you lose from a 33 to 35 is substantial. The weight of the tire, and as it turns on the ground, I think they call it a scrub rate. It's the pounds per square inch that it takes to turn the wheel, the tire. I could be wrong. I don't know. I've watched so many videos and done so much research that my terminology could be wrong, but you understand what I'm saying. A heavier vehicle with the same steering rack and all that is easier to turn with a smaller tire than a larger tire. So in off-road applications, especially rock crawling and articulating, if you can go to a smaller tire and get away with it, it's better because it's going to steer a lot easier. And that's one of the main things that I'm really happy with, is how easy it is to steer. It's just like steering a car. It's amazing how much easier it is to steer. I made it work with the portals. I had thousands and thousands of miles over a year, and I had no problem. But if I did mostly rock crawling and if I hit ground more often, I probably would do 35s and then gear reduction in the transmission versus getting rid of my mid-travel at this point. I hope this helps. I know it's probably hard to make a decision based off this little video. I'll probably post this little pros and cons at a later time, but you really need to think about where you live. The money's about the same, so you're not going to save a bunch of money going to portals versus long travel. You're going to save maybe $1,500, in my opinion. You could have a shop price them both out if the money's a big deal. But I think that if you're adding $10,000 to a side-by-side, it's really important that you figure out the first time. If you guys have any questions, obviously just leave a comment. You could even send me a message. I've had a lot of people send me messages, especially about the long travel versus the portals, just because I've been driving for a long time with portals and now with mid-travel. I'll be posting another video in a couple weeks after UTV. I think it's UTV Source down in Phoenix does the audio. They're one of our new sponsors, and they're gonna deck it out, and then I'll do the whole accessories thing, walk around for the Xpedition. But again, just to recap, guys, portals around 11 grand total, mid travel 12,600 total, pros for the portals, gear reduction, added height, readily available. That's probably a big one. Best for low end torque, bigger tires, easier to turn. Mid travel 12,600. Pros, it turns easy, it accelerates faster, it stops quicker and easier. It's overall a lighter machine. It's much better for duning. I'm assuming that. I haven't taken the dunes yet, so I guess I shouldn't be saying nothing. But I'm pretty sure it's going to dune a lot better than my other one did. And it's best for high speed. I've already had it around 65 or 70 off-road, and it feels really, really nice and controlled. So did my portals, but it just feels a little bit better. So I'm going to say portals for the win, or mid-travel for the win. And but in reality, guys, it's such a fine line between the two. The reason I'm going to say mid-travels for the win, my number one reason is turning ability. My number two reason is stopping ability. Those are my top two. Turning and stopping is why I prefer now a mid-travel, long travel over a portal. It just steers a lot easier and it stops a lot faster. Again, I hope I didn't feel like I'm rambling on in the video. I try to structure it as systematic and as I could. Leave a message, send a comment, leave the group. I'm just kidding. Um, you know, and just remember, I'm just a guy in the garage that's just using this stuff, and I'm trying to give you guys good feedback on my experiences. But obviously, if you guys leave a comment, it'll make me better by asking questions. And so, especially if I left something out. If I left something out, just ask, and I'll answer your question. So, hope this helps out. I hope you have a great day. God bless, and go get them.